Dungeon Crawler Network presents Tales of Tamriel.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to episode 104 of Tales of Tamriel, the podcast that's more fun than setting an Altmer on fire. I am your host, Aggelos, and this show is brought to you by the Dungeon Crawler Network, our website, dungeoncrawlernetwork.com, as well as our Patreon supporters at patreon.com/dungeoncrawlernetwork. I want to give a special thank you to our newest Patreon supporter, Serena. Thank you so much for supporting us, and we're glad that you are enjoying the show and everything that we do. We got a big show for you guys today. First off, my co-host, we got the leveling madman himself, Avi Optimal. How are you, sir?
I'm good. I'm chugging coffee to wake up. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, everybody.
Nervous that in 13 days I am technically going to be homeless. Yes, I've bought a house, but I'm not in the house. But the lease on my current apartment is up in 13 days, meaning in 14 days, if I'm not in the house, I have no house. So check back in a future episode for my fate on that life quest. Other than that, I'm fine. Thank you.
Excellent.
Good morning, everybody.
Excellent. And we also have a special guest with us this morning, our friend over at Elder Scrolls Off the Record and Quest Gaming Network. That would be KDRmickey, a.k.a. Mike. How are you, sir?
I'm doing good. And I thought we were all worried about housing not coming fast enough. Oh, man.
Yeah. Tell me about it.
He's truly worried about housing not coming fast enough. Now, I have a question for you, KDRmickey, a.k.a. Mike. Is that the Tribunal Temple in the background that I'm seeing?
No, the Tribunal Temple is hanging up on the wall. That is one of the opening, beginning parts of when you go into Auradon and you have to go to the Manor House.
Oh, okay.
That's where that scene's going to be. So it's just recently started.
I see.
I wouldn't say recently started. It's one of those ones that I worked on and just have never gone back to.
Understandable. Nice. Understandable. I love it. It's fantastic. All right. Well, hello, chat room as well. Thank you so much for showing up this early Sunday morning. I see we got quite a few people in the chat room, and that is fantastic because you guys are the best and have been amazing these past few weeks. But we're going to go ahead and jump right on into the news. So, Avi, why don't you go ahead and take that away?
Oh, sure. Alright, first thing up on the news today, the Elder Scrolls Online patch has released 2.3.8. It's an incremental patch that continues to address some minor issues in the Thieves Guild DLC game pack, and also includes fixes for general gameplay, including not being able to revive, multiple Mundus Stone buffs, and having to wait in a random dungeon queue when you already have a full group. The size of this patch is approximately 355 megabytes.
That, well, as you guys know, I was one of the people who was suffering from the not being able to resurrect after dying. So I can confirm it is fixed now, and it's amazing because it's fixed.
Yeah, and I ran a dungeon without my damn Mundus Stone.
Oh, really?
I think everybody has done that.
Maybe that's why my DPS was so bad.
Yeah, I was like, dude, my magic's so bad now. What happened? Yeah.
Yeah, I really thought it was just me. I'm like, man, I don't know why, but my damage just seems so low today. Like, I'm not lagging, so my weaving's okay. I didn't even know that. I probably should have looked, and I use the Thief Mundus Stone, so I'm very much about crit damage, so I'm probably not critting for anything, so that makes sense.
Yeah, I'm
I
all
thought I
about
was on the
the
wrong patch notes. I thought that we were on the patch notes with the blue-black tower.
Oh.
Oh, that's where we should be.
Yeah,
Those are some great notes.
Those
Yeah.
were some great notes.
We can actually talk about those now. I don't actually have them on the thing. We were going to talk about it, but I didn't put it on the notes. For April Fool's Day, Gina was so awesome to make some fake notes, which I thought were really, really, really funny. So, what were some of your guys' favorites?
Well, I didn't
gotta
see
pull them
these,
up.
but it just made me, when you mentioned it just then, all I could think about was, man, they could have basically pissed off the entire community by saying something like, Dark Brotherhood coming out in a week, contains housing, complete overhaul to Cyrodiil technical backend system, Crown Store going away in favor of something else, and, you know, I mean, they could have had some real fun. But why don't you tell me what they actually did? Because I was, again, busy talking to solicitors, so missed all this.
Well, one of my favorites was the one where they're like, we're decommissioning the collectibles system, so all the collectibles will now be added back into your backpack. But they're like, to make sure you know which ones are the real ones, they're going to take up 2 slots now instead of 1.
Brilliant.
Yeah, so the notes started out, Elder Scrolls Online Tamriel Edition version 4.1.0, a sneak peek into our final incremental patch before the release of Elder Scrolls Online Coast of the Hollow Ring, and the introduction of underwater combat, flying fish mounts, and Argonian love. It contains a variation of unbelievably good additions and bug fixes. The size of the patch is approximately 42 gigabytes. That was the opening.
Man, that sounds amazing!
It's
Underwater
pretty
battles,
amazing.
that would be... I almost said a rude word there, but that would be... excellent. Let's just leave it at that.
They did one, which I thought was funny, where they're like, made a series of Templar changes. We're not going to tell you what they are, but 5 gold if you can figure out which ones they are.
Yeah.
Dragon mounts.
And then
Go ahead.
The
Dragon
Trench
Hunt.
Digger.
Trench
I was
digger.
gonna say, under Dragonite, they say Ardent Flame, a fiery grip. This ability and its morph can now be used to target and pull down entire keep wall sections.
Wow.
I actually thought that was legit. I'm like, I thought they could already do that.
Like, damn, that is great.
Way
And
to...
then they have one under audio, and it says General. To improve overall immersion, we have removed the option to skip NPC voiceover dialogue. Like,
Yeah, they removed it so you can't skip voice dialogue. Oh, they had one about who's the one banker in Glenumbra, in Daggerfall City. How the first time you talk to her, she has that huge speech about who would not like banking, or like without bankers, they're always saying, you know, neither be a borrower or whatever. Without us, we'd never be able to do anything. It was just, it's like 10-minute long speech. And they pretty much like, yeah, we added that in that now every banker says that, and you can't open the bank until you listen to the entire thing.
You know, there are add-ons that basically do similar things, because I installed a couple of them. Like Wicked Total Immersion does one where I think it gets rid of the text on the screen, so you have to listen to them.
I actually do that for the first time I do a zone on my main character. I use that add-on just so I have to listen. Because they are really good, but I do get into that bad habit of I read it, so I skip.
Yeah.
yeah, me too.
It's because they speak too slowly. And I think there should be an option to increase the speed of the speaking dynamically. Because you can do that. And I know this sounds like a complete tangent, because it is. But in my Audible app on my phone, where I buy my audiobooks from, you can have things played back at like 1.25 speed or 1.5 speed. And I do, and it makes a difference. And the speech is not negatively affected. Sound quality.
So it doesn't chipmunk everybody?
No, it doesn't.
That
so
would
I
be
reckon.
hilarious.
Yeah, well, it'd be hilarious
actually-
if they chipmunked it, but it'd be useful if they could speed it up, because some of them do speak too slowly.
Some do, yeah. And I mean, I have used the Audible one as well. Like I do 1.5, I think, and depending on the speaker, yeah, it actually you don't get that chipmunk voice. It's actually really useful, especially if the narrator just has that slow draw kind of deal. Speaking of a book that I'm actually using it on is I've been listening to Silence of the Lambs, because it's an awesome audiobook, But the narrator, he's a fantastic narrator, but he's got that slow southern drawl, so he's just really, really slow. Having him up to 1.5, it makes it fantastic.
You know, one of the Elder Scrolls novels is on Audible.
I have both of them.
Okay. So do I.
Yeah. There needs to be
Well, that
more
was a
Elder
tangent.
Scrolls.
Sorry.
Yeah, there is. Yeah. All right, Avi, go ahead.
All right. Before we continue, I just want to say one more thing on the joke notes. If caught by a guard when you don't have enough gold to pay for your bounty, all city guards will now take your pants.
They don't already?
I find that amazing.
That's the best deterrent to crime ever. Yeah.
Anyways, weekly vendor is out. It's a PvP vendor in Cyrodiil. Falcon Scoria head of breaches of transmutation and the marksman's guard. What's the trait on the Falcon Scoria's head?
Infused. It's always infused.
It's always
feels
infused.
like.
Okay. Right.
Well, I don't know if it's always infused, but it's been infused every single time I've
feels like
seen
it.
it. Yeah.
Well, there we go.
Yeah.
Anyone buy it?
Is
Is it useful anymore?
For some sets, and Magicka's really good this patch, so I don't know. I honestly think it probably would be pretty good, to be honest.
It just dropped for me, and I kind of pulled what you do. I got like really excited, and then I realized it was only like VR6. And I was like, I'm done running low dungeons with you guys. I can't do this anymore.
Every time I run
I can't afford it.
yeah, every single time I run a low dungeon with somebody, like a pledge or something on a low level character, I get a helm that's awesome, and in like divine, so it's like the perfect trait, but it's always like VR1, and I'm just like, you gotta be kidding me. Yeah.
Luckily, it was well fitted, so it didn't hurt too bad.
It didn't hurt my feelings.
brought a tear to my eye though.
That's kind of like the time I got the what was that one set? Oh, why can I not remember the set? I don't know. It was the one from Crypt of Hearts, which is actually a fairly decent set. You know, like one I would probably use on one character, and it was Divines, but it was VR1, so I'm like, well, never gonna use it. Never, ever gonna use it.
Decon.
I know the Transmutation set that's coming out, or that's out, is actually... I've been looking at it, thinking maybe I should pick it up, because it looks pretty good for healers, if I remember it correctly.
Which one?
The Transmutation.
Oh, does it?
Yeah,
I haven't
it's...
seen that yet.
You should probably go look at it, Avi. I don't know what your final build is for a healer, but...
No, I'm always willing to change it, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's a neat set, and it looks like it's designed for healers, if I remember if that's the correct one. So, yeah, you might want to take a look at it. So,
See, I'm still a big fan of the Night Mother sets, Hunding's Rage, and then my agility rings and necklace and things.
That's...
Damage and crit. Damage and crit.
Other
I
than
have to go with you on
casters...
that.
Well,
Say again, sorry?
I have to go with you on that. I mean, I run the Night Silence 4 set, and Hunting's Rage 5, and the Agility 2.
Yeah.
Or
It's
Agility
a nice combination, and it's useful in both PvE and PvP, which is what I want. Depending on how you set your character up for the rest of it, that's what makes the difference. But it's a good damage set, sure.
right. I'm running agility and like 5 Hundings, 3 agility, and 2 Night Silence, because I use a bow and a 2-hander, so the extra stamina from Night Silence just works better for me than the crit from Night Mother's Gaze. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I use 1 Molag Kenna piece, so that works.
What does that give you? What does 1 give you for Molag Kenna?
Weapon and spell damage.
Weapon damage. Okay, right.
Weapon and spell damage. It does both. So
Interesting.
yeah, it's... If you're... Molag Kenna is hard to get away from if you're a damage dealer. A direct damage dealer, because it's just pure damage, right? Just pure, unbridled damage.
Yep. If only we can ever get the helm.
I've
that reaction.
Yeah, regardless of what kind of helm it is, when it comes on the vendor, I will buy it because I want the helm. I have shoulders, but I don't want the shoulders because Elder Fashion Online, and the helm I can hide. So, yeah, I want the helm so that I can continue to use my mercenary shoulders because my mercenary shoulders are really awesome looking. And it's Elder Fashion Online, right? You got to do what looks good.
Exactly. Now that I have good graphics, I'm definitely learning that.
Yeah, right. I'm like, I know this would be best in slot, but
like I went fishing with you guys, and all of a sudden I walk up and Zakir's like, "You have no shoulders on." I'm like, "Yeah, the shoulders are ugly. I'd rather not have shoulders at all." It's ruining the whole outfit, man.
I'm low enough level; it doesn't matter. I'm just gonna be pretty right now. That's all that cares.
You know what this conversation has allowed me to notice when I was just looking at my current setup? I've made a terrible mistake.
Oh.
Really, seriously. Do you know what I'm doing?
You put the sheet armor on a Argonian?
No, worse.
Ugh.
Way worse. Way worse. I am using 6 pieces of Hunding's Rage, technically. Because, and I've just noticed this, because both of my daggers on my dual wield bar are Hunding's Rage, which, obviously when I was calculating all this stuff, I had done that with my greatswords,
Right.
which is obviously only 1 piece, which would have been my 5, but because I've made both of my daggers Hunding's Rage, I've actually got 6 when I'm on that bar, so I need to make another one of those into my Night Mother, which would get me my 4 item bonus for Night Mother when I'm using the dual wield. Well, this was a very useful conversation.
And it all started because you had to look at what your prettiness is, right?
Well, I'm off to the Rift to fix this error.
Nice.
I must say that, I really like the fact that we could get the Outlaw set, because ever since I got past, I think it's level 15 in crafting, where you lost the mask from the Breton light helm, I have lost that thief look.
Oh,
and no matter what other one you try, you just can't get it. So now, Outlaw style gives you the thief hood and mask.
Oh, that's actually something to mention that I forgot to mention since we're talking about Elder Fashion right now. Anyway, is one of the things in the patch notes is, I don't know if you guys looked at it, but the swords, the high-level one-handed swords for the Outlaw set had the wrong style on them. Did you guys notice that?
No, I've never crafted one. I'm still trying to grind that one.
You guys remember the artwork for the Dark Brotherhood from QuakeCon when they showed the pictures? Like if you looked at the concept art, that's what it looked like. The highest level one-handed swords, they put the Dark Brotherhood model on. So like while all the other ones are straight with that little trident look, for the Thieves Guild, the highest level swords were those curved blades that look like the sword you get from Skyrim. What's her face in Skyrim, the leader of the Dark Brotherhood, when you acquire it, for people who haven't done it.
The Blade of Woe.
Blade of Woe?
Yes, that's what it looks like. Well, it did. It doesn't anymore, because they fixed it.
Now I want to go play Skyrim.
Yeah, so that's what that was. That a lot of people were saying, what's going on with this? Like you have a straight bladed sword for everything up to the highest level, the VR16 one, and then all of a sudden it becomes a curved blade that looks nothing like any of the other models. Well, that's why. It was pretty awesome. Let's see.
Alright.
Yeah, go ahead, Avi.
Should we move on?
Yep, go ahead.
Alright, we have a hint about Tel Var stones in the next major update. And it says, "Hey folks, we are concerned about Tel Var stones. And with the next major update, we'll be bringing in some new things for you to spend your Tel Var stones on, for a variety of price levels. We'll go into more details about exactly what the new things the vendors will be selling when we're closer to releasing the update. But, is there more to this?
There should. Well, I don't know. I actually can't remember if there is or not. But that's pretty much all they say.
Okay, yeah, that's...
I know that they've been trying to work on ways to get PvPers to spend their currencies. Because it's a big problem when nobody's spending any of their currencies.
Right. Well, I know the other thing is you can't get, what is it, Hakado or whatever, the tri-stat enchants from anything other than treasure scamps, I think it is. So that's what spawned this entire conversation. So people are looking at changing how that's going to work and adding more things in that you can buy with Tel Var stones.
Nice.
I'm trying to read chat here, but yeah, they're just trying to revive Imperial City because there wasn't a lot to buy anyway because the item sets, the way they've been changed and the way the champion point system's been changed with Thieves Guild makes Shieldbreaker not as wanted as it was. Need a drink. So people aren't really going to Icy for almost anything because there's really nothing to buy. All of the materials that you could buy before are now commonplace items. You know, like you used to be able to buy individual pieces of the tier 16 mats. Well, when they were rare, that was something to do, but now I'm sitting on like 1,500 of the Rubidites, so who cares, right?
Yeah.
So no one's spending their Tel Var stones at all, really, because there's, other than the people who are trying to open those chests and hoping to get one of those special transmogs, the skins, the Daedric Zivkin skins that you can get from that, no one else is buying anything. And, I mean, it's such a low drop rate that I don't even think people are even bothering anymore. I don't know. My thoughts. Some people in chat are like, I've never even been to Imperial City until I just got ESO Plus, so...
Yeah. It's more of like a fun PvE playground with friends for me now. I only go there when you guys go there.
I know, and I love it. I love our IC nights. They're my favorite.
Good time.
Be right back, guys.
All right. Yeah, so that's some news. They're just trying to revamp some of the rewards for Imperial City, but it all spawned from asking if the Hakayo or whatever runes they are ever going to appear on the merchant.
Right.
And they didn't really say that, but there's like we're adding things for people to spend stones on. So.
Well, I'll have to go check the gear route that they have there again because it just kind of hit me like a couple days ago. I was posting on Twitter going, I'm thinking about buying a Steam game and really testing out my new computer, so I want to buy like a really good, strong graphic game. And all of a sudden somebody was like, why don't you just go into Cyrodiil? And I was like, I could PvP. I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't even think about that. So I got to get some PvP gear going for my Nightblade or Estelle or somebody, and maybe bring my Imperial Templar back to life and make him more PvP based since I haven't touched him in a long time.
I'm going to tell you this, you should probably just do it on Avi Optimal because whenever you rank up you get skill points, and I know you're going to need skill
maybe
points.
I should just do it. See, I don't even want to play any other characters anymore. I feel so bad.
Well,
not even Estelle's been logged on since Pledge Night.
Yeah, pretty much this is, now you're playing like I play. I don't feel like playing anything other than my main character, like, ever. Like, I'm doing it in the stream right now. I'm doing Mouser Marina for the show, but even when I play her, I'm like, I would much rather just be playing on my main character so I can advance him, you know?
Yeah.
But, yeah. I almost died. Alright, we can move on to the next bit.
Next thing is meet your new assistants. The assistants have hit the crown store for 5,000 crowns each. We have the merchant and the banker.
And that's what I wanted to ask about. Like, I put the article in there, but the thing I'm really wondering about is, let's just talk about the assistants prices and everything like that. What do you guys feel for those prices?
They're very expensive. But I also don't mind because they're non-essential. So, this is the kind of thing where I did have to think about it a little while because I thought 5,000 crowns, okay, that's quite a lot. But, it is a total perk. It's not law-breaking. It doesn't give you an advantage against other players. It doesn't matter in PvP. So I think that's fine. I think, fair enough.
This is something that I actually agree on with with you for the price. I actually think that they could have been even a little more expensive. I don't think they would sell though.
No, I think it's priced right because, sorry for interrupting you there, but
No.
the key thing for me is that if you subscribe to ESO Plus and you're on like one of the bigger subscriptions, then you get your dump of crowns when you renew, and this will cover one of those. So it's a nice amount to spend that amount of crowns on for when your subscription renews or something like that. And I think that's a nice place for it to be.
Yeah, and obviously as a buy-to-play game, they're trying to support their future development and everything of that nature. And this is something that I'm 100% okay with having a higher price tag on because this is, like you say, it's a non-essential, it's an account services, and not only that, but if one person has it, you can actually use it. If someone in your group has it, everyone can use it. And so I'm definitely okay with the price. Avi, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think if you listen to ESOTR, they spoke about it too, and I think they said it right with it's good that it's expensive because you don't want everybody having it. I think that's one of the big things. We don't want everybody running around with their own merchant and their own banker. And if it was only based at $250, then who wouldn't have it? So I think it's priced good. It's nothing I'm interested in personally, but if you want it, it's there. I guess it's one of those Crown Store items. One of those if you want it, it's there, but it's definitely not needed.
Right. And some people in chat are saying, like last year, saying GroupMate and Rothgar had one out, and it stayed out for a long time, followed us around from boss to boss. I think it was well worth it. I actually think for what it does, I tend to agree that it's worth the price if people are willing to spend that price. With that said, I like the amount that it is because it helps development of the game, gives them a little bit more cash, and they're doing it with an item that really is just for account like an enhancement on your account. That it's really not even that big of a deal one way or the other in terms of whether or not people need it. Like, if you maxed out your bank slots, I don't think I even need it.
And the merchant doesn't offer repairs, right?
No, it does not.
No,
That's a shame.
So
Yeah,
it keeps you to buy the repair kits that they have. Because if it did, you would stop buying the repair kits. Or, doing the crafting writs to make your own.
right. That makes sense.
I do crafting writs because they're awesome.
Yeah, I have like 200 of those little boxes.
Yeah, I have lots as well. But, in terms of price, I know it's expensive, but it's expensive in a good way because, it supports development from ZOS, and I don't think it even takes away from the game. Like, honestly, if you talk to me about mounts and stuff, I think that takes away from the game because it doesn't give people things to get in the game, right? But this, it's just for convenience, and I like it. I like it a lot. So, I think we all covered it. KDRmickey, what do you think? I know you just mentioned your thing. Do you have anything else before we move on with this one? I think we all said our
Not
piece
really.
on it.
They're a convenience item. They're expensive, yes, but you don't have to have it. It's not going to make or break your game.
Right.
And it's a way for ZOS to make some money without cutting their own throats by reducing. It's not like you get more banker slots out of it. That would be one way that would really force a lot of people to get it. You don't get repairs from the merchants, so they're still going to sell repair kits in dungeons and stuff like that. So I'm fine with it.
Plus, if someone in your group has tons of crowns and buys it, you can still make use of it.
Yeah.
So you don't necessarily have to have it. If one person has it, it's...
Yeah, I'm all with James Harvey in chat where he says, I'm all good with you buying one and letting me use it. That's my way of thinking right there. So
Yeah.
You want to make friends for that trial group? There you go. Buy a banker or a merchant, bring it to the trials group.
But both, like I said, both of which... Well, see, the banker I find more use than the trials group. Well, see, honestly, both of them I don't really think have tons of use that warrant, in at least my mind, getting them. I mean, other than for the convenience factor, because I have 200 slots on my bank, okay? Or, no, I have 270 slots on my bank, but on my character I have 200 slots, so it's very rare that I'm out of space, right? But
what happened to that whole the materials weren't going to take up slots?
that's still coming, but it's a subscriber reward.
yeah, crafting bags.
Yeah, the crafting bags. Yeah, that's definitely a sub reward, but they haven't given us a date on that. I'm sort of assuming we may see it with Dark Brotherhood, but there's no confirmation on that whatsoever. It's just my assumption. So. Yeah, that's how I feel about it anyway.
All right. Well,
Yep.
the next bit of news is probably my favorite bit of news. It's celebrate ESO's anniversary.
Mm-hmm.
Elder Scrolls Online is 2 years old. So
2 years.
Yeah.
And what are we getting for that 2-year anniversary, Avi?
Oh my goodness! Something that's gonna help me beat Amanda Gray in our competition. So sorry, Amanda. We are. I'm just saying, man, because we are getting. Where is it? My computer's lagging here. You want to help me out here? My computer's lagging out a bit.
Yeah, it's a birthday cake.
That's what it is.
That they're giving us.
I should have just looked at the picture.
Yeah, right. It's a birthday cake, and with that birthday cake, there's lore behind it. Well, I mean, honestly, they have a. Why am I drawing a blank on? They have a Bosmer who's a chef, so I'm sure it might contain, like other Bosmer. But regardless, it's a memento.
Oh, they do, yeah.
Yeah, they do.
They do.
It's not going to contain other Bosmer. It's going to contain other factions, warriors that have died in battle.
I can accept that.
It looks like it has high elf in the middle. I'm just saying.
With orc frosting.
With orc frosting.
That sounds disgusting. I don't know if I want any of this.
Would you rather have orc jelly on the inside?
Ew, or is that like troll jelly or troll fat? It's troll fat. Helps in achieving chim. What? No. Yeah. So it's a memento that we're all gonna get, and if you log on between, I think it's the 4th and the 10th.
The event will begin at 7:30 p.m. EDT on April 3rd and conclude at 7 p.m. EDT on April 10th. Everybody will be able to participate regardless of platform or mega server. When you first log on, you'll be presented with an announcement screen informing you of your free voucher for a cake in the Crown Store. Once you open the Crown Store and retrieve the voucher, your quest, Ache for Cake, will begin. After the quest is complete, you'll receive your reward, a Jubilee?
Jubilee, yeah. Jubilee's right.
Okay. You receive a cake, which will be placed in your mementos collection. You and anyone in your group will be able to enjoy the cake and receive a 100 XP buff, 100% XP buff. This buff stacks with all other XP buffs. Oh my goodness!
So you'll be getting, like, if you use it's essentially a crown scroll that stacks with other crown scrolls. So yeah,
and is it a one-use thing? Can we get more of these? Like,
it's a memento. You can use it as long as it exists.
Yeah, you can use it all
until
week.
the end date, and then it just becomes a memento that you have, but
right.
It doesn't grant XP.
No, but you can still eat it. Like, it puts it and
Yeah.
eat it. It's just a fun toy at that point. So.
I see, that makes sense. Okay, so basically, if you are leveling up a character, this is the week to do it. Get a crown scroll, get this cake in you, and get grinding.
Well, if you're Nahir in chat actually made a perfect point. He's like, if you're an ESO Plus subscriber, you get 10% more experience. With that, it's 110, and with the scroll, it's 210. 210% experience.
So
and then you
I'm
add
gonna,
the Rings of Mara. You add.
Oh yeah, if you're married to someone, yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna have 2 new VR1 characters by the end of the week, maybe. I might be. Hey, I just made my new character. What, 2 days before last episode? He's level 36 right now, and I haven't used any. I've only used 1 Citric Ambrosia. I haven't been using anything. So I can, yeah.
You can do it.
I think I'm gonna delete one of my characters right now.
You're actually gonna delete a character.
Yeah, dude. I think my VR.
Why would you delete a character? I don't understand this delete a character concept.
Well, I mean, if you...
my main thing is because I used to play on the Daggerfall Covenant, so I have 3 Covenant characters, and I haven't touched any of them since I went to Ebonheart. So
don't delete all of them. You can come play with us.
No. I'm deciding between my Dragon Knight, Avi Optimal, or my Templar. Probably my Templar, because I like healing, so I'll probably keep him. But my Sorcerer's my lowest. She's VR4, so poor girl.
Poor girl.
I'll remake her, and she might be a Khajiit. Because apparently I like Khajiit females very much.
Well, we knew that.
If this podcast has taught me anything.
Well, I mean, you learn about yourself, really, and yeah. But sometimes you have a problem where you confuse male Argonians for female Khajiit, so...
Happened once.
Yeah, but that was a pretty big one, too, and I mean...
I still blame my graphics.
I can agree with you there. I played on medium graphics at one point in time, and now that I got Ultra, my main character is very ugly, I feel. So I'm waiting for the barbershop.
I got very lucky with that. I saw your post, or you said that on ESOTR, or something.
Yeah.
I saw it, I was like, oh no, I didn't even think about that. And I logged on, and I was like, oh, Estelle is beautiful.
She looks good.
I'm so thankful that I didn't roll like a female as my main, because if you roll a female using medium graphics and she comes out looking like a witch,
Right.
I don't know if I would have been as loyal as my ugly Bosmer.
Well, I mean, you're a Bosmer, so it's acceptable.
Yeah.
Man, I'm just dying like crazy in Maelstrom Arena, because I don't have any ranged option on this character.
DPS is too low.
Quick, call Thais.
Why? So she can make me feel bad about my DPS? Yeah. Inside joke from pre-show. It was awesome and it was dirty. It was great. All right, Avi.
Alright. So next up is a Crown Store Showcase for March 30th, 2016. March 30th. It already happened? Is it out right now?
No, that's just when they announced it. That's for the upcoming month, and they talk about everything that's going to be coming within the month of April. And the big ticket item here is, well, I don't know if it's really big ticket, because I mean it's Altmer, but the Altmer hero costume, the second of the 3, the Nord hero is first, now it's Altmer, is coming out. So
there's a lion.
Well, yes, there is a lion, but the big ticket item is probably still going to be the hero costume.
There's a lion, Aggelos. That is all that matters on this page. Stress.
But see, you're talking to the guy who has the loyalty reward tiger, who I never change, because...
I don't have that.
Well, I know.
So,
and, yeah.
So lion.
But... I like mine because no one else can ever get it. Yeah, it's definitely exclusivity, like to the extreme. So, yeah, that's why I like my
lion's gonna eat your Sensei.
No, it'll never happen. It just physically cannot happen. So.
With my little lion cub running behind me.
Oh, they have a lion cub too.
They do. It's adorable. At least the picture is adorable.
That's funny. Oh, I'm just dying.
But it is the Crown Store Showcase. Is that anything else you guys, Mike or Nate, that you guys see on there that you're interested in?
No.
The white tiger that's coming.
Is that a mount or is it the?
It's a pet.
It's a pet, but you know.
So I'm guessing it will be like the Black Panther, sort of.
Okay.
Yeah, a larger pet.
I run around with the Black Panther. People in chat, Stripe Senshei greater than all. Loyalty Tiger is the best tiger. Yeah.
Yeah, I just bought my camel and I've got my Black Panther as well, so I alternate between camel and panther, which is a weird sentence.
Wicked Wolf, where's my damn wolf? It's coming, Wicked. Remember, episode 100.
Where's my damn wolf? Every time one of these comes out, he opens it and he's just like, "There's no wolf."
There's no wolf. Just there's one coming. Remember.
He scrolls through it really fast. He hardly looks at anything. He's like, "Nope, nope, not for me."
Not for me. Not for me. Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty much all there is on there. There's a guar mount if you're into those. I've never been into those.
Guar.
Yeah, is that what it's called? The albino? Oh, okay, yeah. It looks like an albino.
It looks
guar.
like an albino.
It's an albino guar.
They just didn't paint this one and put them on the Crown Store.
They're
getting lazy over there.
I know. For me, I'll probably switch my mount when they. Why am I drawing a blank on it? When I go to do Hugh's Bane, just because I like how to kind of be lore specific. Like, why would I not use a camel when I'm in the desert, right? Like any desert ones, I'll switch my mounts around just to be kind of more lore, not friendly, but just because I like being theming. Theming is the word I'm looking for.
I never bought the camel. I couldn't get myself to do it.
But
you guys had to prove to me that it was lore friendly. And then after that happened, I was still like, no.
It is lore friendly.
It is lore friendly. It was.
I know. I saw them. I was amazed. There's a bunch of them in Daggerfall. I was like, oh my goodness.
It is lore
I'm
friendly.
just waiting. I don't know if you guys got the sanguine goat.
Yes.
The pets and how its eyes glow red.
Yes.
So I'm really waiting for a Sheogorath pet that will actually like talk to you and like say some of his stupid phrases or turn into cheese randomly.
that would be pretty good. Like when you're standing idle, all of a sudden it just turns.
It's just
into
a poof of
cheese.
smoke and turns into cheese. Yeah, that would be the greatest thing ever.
Are you sure that a Sheogorath pet wouldn't just be like a talking thing of cheese? Because piece of cheese that just talks to you.
It just rolls like a wheel behind you.
I like that.
Good idea.
Yeah, the rolling cheese wheel is probably the best thing I've heard all day. So.
That's gonna be like 5,000 crowns.
I would pay it. I would pay
If
it.
it talked to you and rolled behind you, had stink lines coming up out of it.
All right, so here's an idea of what could make a good pet. That they'd have to think very carefully about not law breaking. Choose any NPC from one of the storylines as a pet / companion fighter.
Are you?
Yeah, exactly.
Razumdar? Are
Yeah,
you kidding
it would be
me?
a tough between the two of them.
Yeah.
I mean, Naryu's hot and all, but the shenanigans Razumdar, he'd be like the best wingman in the world to have, okay?
That is true.
I mean, we would never get any quest done because we would just hit on all the female quest givers. He would be amazing. I mean, could you imagine the conversations like when you quest with Naryu? Because I remember the one scene where he actually says, if Naryu ever wants to dress up like a maid again, she can come over to Razumdar's house.
Yeah.
And Queen Eren yells at him, going, Razumdar is inappropriate. This
I
one
just did the quest line where
nothing.
I just did the quest line where the mage polymorphs him into the queen, and he wants to go check himself out.
Oh yeah,
in private.
I have to go inspect. Yes, I love Razumdar. He's like the best character. I think I actually put a tweet out at one point. This is off topic, but would you guys actually read a novel if it was written from Razumdar's point of view?
Like,
Like a book
real novel?
Yeah, like a real novel, like that was written from Razumdar's point of view, because I would.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely.
Just because, like, you know, all of his... I always thought when... and coming from other MMOs, one of the things I liked about World of Warcraft so much was all the extra stuff that you could use to get yourself into the world, right? They had a bunch of novels and side projects, and I would have really loved a series of novels that focuses on all the different heroes, Hadamine and like the Pact heroes, Razumdar and Naru, like set prior to ESO, like what they were doing before that point, would be really, really awesome, and I would read it in like 10 seconds. So, all right, Avi.
All right. Well, we have our last one that you have to help me out with, because I am an awful crafter. Dev comments about upcoming change to resource node. Yeah. Node. Okay, good. That was my first thought, but I always second guess myself. Node scaling. So
they're talking about in this particular thing how they want to change node scaling, where it won't just go off your passives. Because like right now, it all depends on what your passives are, right? Like if you have 10 points in blacksmithing, you're able to get all of the VR16 nodes. Well, they want to change how the scaling's done based on what your character can actually wear as well. So like one of the examples they talked about was having a VR16 who's never done any crafting ever. And so when they go to one of these resource scaling areas, they get nothing, right? Because they don't have any crafting. Whereas a who doesn't even have weapon swapping yet has max level crafting, which I actually, that's not too crazy. I actually have a character like that who is like level 3 and is a max level crafter. Right?
Well, apparently I'm an Alice. It says, to provide examples of how this would work, let me introduce our 4 characters. And it says, Alice has never crafted a day in her life, but has reached the VR16.
Yeah, that's...
Oh, that's me. I mean, I do craft, but I craft on an alt. So whenever I do play my main and I go to those kind of places, there's just like iron ore and...
And actually, those characters that I have that, have those weird, the characters who are low level, because I was actually going to do that as well. That was my main thought of making a character like that, was so that I could remove all the skill points when I was having issues with skill points off of my main character. But then when they introduced node resource scaling, I'm like, well, now I can't. I have to put crafting back on my main character, because if I don't play my alts in these main zones, I'll never get any good materials.
Yeah, I had to level up alchemy on my main and put all the points in the first line there for use of the different waters, because I wasn't getting Tears of Lorcan, and without those, you can't make the high-level potions. I'm like, oh, this is killing me,
Yeah. Alchemy and provisioning. Provisioning I probably could have still kept over, but it was the same. I had to do the exact same thing. I'm like, well, alchemy's not real hard to level up. I'll just put it on an alt. But yeah, then I realized I'm not playing my low-level alt in Hrothgar, so I'm never going to get any of the materials, because I'm just not playing her in those areas. I did put points in extracting. In extracting, I still kept extracting on an alt, because that was like an extra 9 points I didn't need to use. And if I wanted to break an item down, I would just throw it in my bank and have an alt do it, because it saves the points. But again, when you're a character like me who does everything on one character, you gotta save your points where you can. And unfortunately, that's where my points are. I have over 100 and some odd points in crafting alone. So it's I gotta save my points where I can. Nate, you've been kind of silent on this.
Yeah, I mean, for me, the whole crafting node thing, it makes a lot of sense. Like, I think that crafting is something that the game doesn't necessarily ease you into as well as it could when you first start playing. It's quite complicated, I think, for a newbie. And as they open up the zones, I think it makes a lot of sense to have these nodes scale, and it's nice how they do that as well in Hugh's Bane. You know, you walk around, and there's a great place, as we've talked about this a lot on the show before now, that it's a great place to basically farm materials, and it's great that people can do that regardless of their level. I mean, that's kind of my overarching opinion.
See, I'm on a slightly different opinion, and if you've been doing the crafting like I have with all of the writs, and the way that they changed the crafting this time, it's because everything scales. I actually kind of wish how they would change the node scaling would be that every zone, I'm talking even like Stonefalls, would have a chance to have scaling. Like every zone should have its own like resource node, right? But there's like a 50% chance that you would get iron out of Stonefalls, or rubidite, or whatever the case may be. And you go to the next area, you might get steel or rubidite. That way you can go back to any zone and possibly get it, not just the new zones with their scaling.
Yeah.
Because, like, I'm running into an issue right now, and it's not really an issue with super low level, but it is an issue with Void Steel, where because of how they changed the nodes, unless I go back to Craglorn, I can't get Void Steel, right? Well, all of the crafting requires Void Steel.
And the new Thieves change also really screwed us on that too, because it used to be that you could steal, off of a vendor table, a half dozen swords and have enough Void Steel to deal with what you needed for your crafting writ. Now it's 1 ingot per item, and so literally there's days where I literally just go around stealing everything that I can till my inventory's full, and then go and just break it down just so I have enough to get through the writs for the week. Yeah, and that's just it. It could take me an hour to get enough writs for everything, right? Because you need probably 50, 60 stolen items just to finish one writ. Yeah. And if you're like I've been trying to do, my main guy does the rubidite level, and then I have a secondary who is 1 level below him, and he's still on the do 2 pauldrons, 2 helmets, and 5 daggers, all in Void Steel, because I keep trying to accumulate enough of the Nerncrux out of Craglorn. So it's really difficult to get enough for him for a week. Oh yeah. Oh my goodness, yes. It's and see, I don't like how they did they've already changed the node scaling once. Remember when rubidite was only a chance? Like it wasn't 100% chance to get it was like a 20% chance that the node would have it in the high level areas. Yeah, exactly. And that worked. Like, see, it still made it rare enough that it was something that's like, like high level areas. They should probably go back to something like that, but it'd be awesome if they did it in every zone. So that when you're a max level, you could be in Deshaun and see steel, but have that 20% chance of getting, rubidite or ancestor silk or whatever the case may be, so that way you can still craft everything you need. I actually do not like the change unless they change the way that the highest level crafting writs work. They just need to change, like, maybe we no longer need Void Steel in the highest level ones anymore. Like, I know why they did it before when Void Steel was rare, but I actually have more Void Steel now than I do Void Steel. Or rubidite instead of Void Steel, sorry. I was saying one thing and then the other.
I don't know. I don't like the way the crafting change has changed. It just doesn't work for me. But
It doesn't work for people who do the crafting writs on a daily basis.
yeah,
Is really what it comes down to. I mean, if you're doing it once a week or twice a week, you might be able to without changing your gameplay at all.
right.
But if you're doing it on a daily basis, yeah,
and on
there's
multiple
no way.
characters, and I got to give a special thank you to Lord Obi. He farms Craglorn a lot, and he's been my guardian angel with finishing stuff. Like, if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be able to do writs every day. Because he's been sending me all this, like Void Cloth and Void Steel and Nightwood so that I can finish. Because he's like, he just keeps sending it to me because I do all the crafting, so.
Oh yeah, I still got couple stacks of that stuff I should put in the bank. I didn't think about that.
If you plan on ever doing the things, you're going to want to hold on to it. The max level, because you will run out in like 3 seconds. Because you just don't get it that often because of how they did the resource changes.
Right.
All right. We're back, everyone. Sorry about that. I don't know what the issue really was, other than my Skype kept crashing, and every time I tried to rejoin the call, it died. So we're back. We're going to pick up where we left off. Avi, you had an amazingness right there.
They ruined it.
They did.
It's ruined. Hold on. I'm not even prepared anymore.
I take all blame for that. Skype just decided it was going to be like, nope, you know what? You're not doing a show right now. You're done. You're done. We're calling.
No. It's Krabby's fault.
It is Krabby's fault. That's how it works. Blame Krabby.
That's just how life works.
Understandable.
Stab your toe, blame Krabby.
At least it wasn't, on Friday during the event, my security software updated and locked ESO and Chrome out of the internet.
Oh, good.
I had to go back in, like unplug everything, plug everything back in, turn off the firewall, turn on the firewall, allow all of the applications. All in the middle of we're trying to do the Two Brothers in Maw of Lorhaj.
That's frustrating.
Yep.
Man.
And I was trying to coordinate the group as to, everybody do this, everybody do that. I couldn't see anything. I'm like, I feel so bad. But I can't get into the game.
I can't get in the game, you guys know. All right. Avi, have you found your spot?
Yes. Well, we just finished up talking about the node scaling, and that segues into our discussion topic, the future of crafting. Our thoughts on crafting for the future, including housing, the relevant news to the resource nodes, and all that fun stuff.
All of that fun stuff
to talk about.
Right.
That was not as good as it was going to be the first time.
I know, you had it all planned, and I ruined it. Or Skype ruined it, rather. So, for today's discussion topic, back on episode 100, we talked a little bit about housing and crafting and all of that fun stuff, because I know that's a big thing for a lot of us. Any true Elder Scrolls fan from, well, any of them, really. I mean, I remember back in Morrowind when there really was no housing, but there was a house in Balmora where there was a Fighters Guild quest that you literally talked to a guy one time, did a quest for him, and then you never talked to him again. So as soon as I was done with the quest, I killed him and took his house for storage. Yeah, well,
that works.
It does. Like, as soon as I finished the quest, I remember going to like the unofficial Elder Scrolls pages and was like, is he in any other quest? No? Perfect. Death. Yeah, so that was definitely a thing. But we just want to take a minute, talk about where we see crafting in the future, and where we'd like to see what we think it needs to have to be successful, especially with housing. And I'm going to let Nate go first, because this was his topic.
Yeah, I wanted to think about where crafting can go next. This is sort of born off the back of the resource node discussion. But I mean, if you're in a very active guild, And in fact, this happened to me just a few minutes ago. One of the guys in my guild needed a couple of glyphs of foulness creating for obviously a set that he's working on, and I said, yeah, I can do that, no problem. I go to my station, I craft him the items and send it, and it's quite satisfying, and it's a nice use of being a master crafter to be able to do that. If you're not in a guild and you're happy with your armor, then the question for me really is, what are you doing having your crafting? Like, yes, you can make potions, yes, you can change around your armor, but if you're generally happy with your setup, you're not going to be doing a huge amount with that. So I started thinking about, where do we want crafting to go to? What could we craft ourselves repeatedly that would really make crafting exciting outside of just guilds, but also obviously in addition to guilds if you're in them. And I keep coming back to housing, and we talked about this with Rich Lambert when he was on the other week, about how we could have a crafting system for housing that would, let us make things like, benches and bookcases and, all sorts of stuff. And yeah, maybe some of it could be Crown Store based, maybe some of it could be even quest based, like whatever way you get the quote unquote recipes or schematics, for want of a better term, for making stuff, whatever that is, we can discuss that. But it would just give a whole new life to crafting to be able to do this with housing or vanity type stuff. And I wanted to open that up to discussion to everyone today.
Excellent. I actually want to start off with this with one of my favorite, someone actually, and what was really funny is on Twitter, someone actually asked me the other day, Joshua Graham on Twitter asked me the other day, what game I think has the better crafting between WoW, ESO, and Final Fantasy 14. And I actually had to think about this for a minute because I pretty much said WoW sucks just because it does. Like, it's not good in terms of actual crafting, if that's what you like to do. But I was thinking to myself, I'm like, well, in terms of viability for endgame, whether PvP or PvE, ESO had the better crafting because this is one of the only games where, and KDRmickey, you know this as well, that some of your best in slot, you're probably wearing what you would consider your best in slot gear is actually probably all crafted with the exception of the jewelry and maybe a monster helm, right?
Yeah, there's utility ones that I also have. Like right now, on this character, I am running, the Dagger of Night Silence and the Nightshade Dagger. So I'm running the Nightshade set, only because I want that 3-piece bonus because I'm stealing stuff right now. During actual combat, though, I'll run Hundings and Night Silence and the Agility Jewelry, and that's it. I mean, I don't have monster helms that I run. I don't have other specialty items because, you can control, your set. I don't have to worry about, I have a VR 14 of this and a VR 11 of that and a VR 16 of this, on drop sets, or, spend a ton of cash trying to get those sets all at VR 16 with divines on them. So my crafting allows me to, literally not be worried about, that aspect of the game, trying to track down stuff. Right.
But and then I said to this other guy speaking on that, since we were just talking about that, was that Final Fantasy 14 had the better overall crafting in terms of, because they implemented housing, and housing, again, this is all a sub game, so there really isn't a cash shop. I mean, there's a little one, but it's not much of anything. It's mostly utility based stuff, but they have almost everything in the game for crafting through, or for housing through crafting, and it is a huge moneymaker. But I think there actually needs to be some fundamental changes with how crafting is done in this game in order to facilitate what we were talking about in the previous the previous show where we were like, hey, in order for crafting to allow us to craft housing stuff, there really are no recipes in this game other than cooking. They would actually have to add the schematic, and schematics is a perfect word for crafting. Like, if you want to look at it in that regard, like, I think you picked a perfect word, but we would have to find, just like we find recipes for provisioning, for the other crafting to make, basic loot or chair or, whatever we wanted to do, we would have to add that to the other crafting.
Could you imagine, things like, Akaviri tables and Daedric bookshelves and all that kind of stuff? Like, there are huge numbers of possibilities, none of which would need to be law-breaking, all of which could be factored into existing styles as housing schematics. And, I think there'd be a huge, huge interest in this, because it would allow people to, to have another reason to craft, another reason to explore styles. Don't get me started on the idea of, glass windows.
Right?
Well, one thing, they could continue the way they are with the books. That each chapter of the book is split off. And so you'd be able to get, like, tables or chairs or bookcases or beds, whatever the case might be, as chapters, and have 10 or 12 new chapters to the assorted books that we already have. And for like the original stuff, just have like Breton housekeeping book, and you would get that, and it would cover everything, just like the style books cover the entire Breton set or something like that. They could easily do it that way, where if you're a crafter of certain level, or you put points into crafting woodworking house items, then you could easily just craft your own known style. Like if you're a Breton, craft a Breton, a Bosmer would craft Bosmer, and then everything else would be book format or chapter format.
Yeah, that'd be cool. They can fall out of the daily crafting grids. And
now, with that regard, we had a similar system in Skyrim. We'll talk Skyrim since that's probably the game 90% of people actually know. With the housing, when Hearthfire was added, in order to make certain stuff, like, I'm really hoping that it's not just push a button, there's a chair. I would actually love it to be multi-craft, where you need multiple people. Like, if you only focus on one thing or whatever, like, as a blacksmith, I can make nails, I can make hinges, I can make stuff like that. But I have to combine it with the woodworker and, a clothing and things like that. Would that interest anyone? Like, no, maybe?
I don't...
Yeah.
It could be really cool, but it could also be very frustrating. First that you have to have somebody else that also has the same recipe, schematic book, whatever you want to call it, that would allow you to make that chair. Then you would have to find, blacksmith that could make the metal parts for the chair, and then a clothier to make the cushions, and a woodworker to make the frame.
It's all an option, isn't it? It's still fun.
Yeah, I could see it getting a little like ridiculous. The amount of
that's a whole nother game within this game.
Yeah, it's a game within a game.
Yeah.
But isn't that what housing is? A game within a game? Like, if you think about it, housing really, that is what some people may be just interested in doing. And
that is true.
And housing generally is considered, even if you look at it from, and Skyrim was a little less, but even Skyrim, in order to completely finish your house, so to speak, there was, it took either a lot of gold. It took a few things, right? Like, you didn't just have a max house. You had to buy the upgrades, and unless you used a cheat or something, it wasn't a cheap amount of gold.
No, it was really expensive.
Yay, console commands.
Well, yeah, but I
don't do that.
That's exactly what I'm talking about, though, because without console commands, it wasn't something that when you bought a house, it's just like, okay, upgrade, 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 unless you spent the time to go ahead and try to get everything ahead of time, right? Like if you had a ton of money, like a lot of times when I got to the housing, I was loaded. You know, like I made sure I had enough money that I could just upgrade everything. But if you play the game organically without that plan, it was still considered a medium to long term goal, right? To finish off and get everything in your house. And I don't believe that housing in this game should be something that you finish in 2 weeks, right? Like I feel like that is just not a good expand. If they release housing as a solo expansion and you can get like the best house in the game and completely deck it out with all the stuff you want in a week, that's gonna disappoint me. Housing should be a long-term goal where it's like, man, I really would like. I have a cot bed right now, but I'd really love that, you know, imperial like royalty bed, but that requires me to farm like 10,000 rubidite. You know, like it's a long-term goal. Like, oh yeah, I have a bed in my house, but if I want that super elegant bed, you know, I want people when I bring them into my house to go, oh wow, they spent a ton of time crafting this because it required them to get all these materials. They had to go to all these different areas. They had to find this stuff.
Well, the point that you just said there with the number needed for stuff, I think really, I'd like to see that. That you know, you want to make a bed, okay, it's going to cost you 6 stacks of whatever lumber, and you know, 4 stacks of whatever cloth, and 2 stacks of whatever metal to craft that level bed. Because you know, it's a huge item.
Sure.
You know, and a chair would be like, okay, 1 stack of wood, 1 stack of cloth, 1 stack of metal to get a chair because it's a smaller item.
I completely agree. It should not be, you know, oh, to make a chair it's 10 rubidite. No, it should be a lot of, there needs to be some sort of goal to it. I would even be so inclined to say I would love to see things like needing things from dungeons in order to get certain items. Like maybe that high imperial bed requires you to get a special drop from Moleg Kenna in Veteran White Gold Tower, right? Like, and then when you put it up, it's like, oh wow, they not only farm the normal materials, but they actually did something in game, and it's a trophy. It's like, so when people see that bed, they're like, oh wow, they got that rare drop from Moleg Kenna to, you know, to make this stylistic bed, right? Or chair or whatever, you know?
Yeah. I mean, a couple of things. I mean, one, I mean, you said rubidite, you know, that's the very top level. I mean, I don't necessarily think you would need to use the highest level mats for everything in this house. You know, you get to endgame and you end up with huge stacks of unusable materials for items lower than your current level. Wouldn't it be quite nice to be able to use that, stacks of that, to create stuff? All that kind of thing. Oak, sanded oak for an oak bookcase. I mean, that's actually pretty cool. And then for the items that you need from dungeons or from wherever else, maybe from writs possibly as well, you know, there's always going to be the wood that you need, but you'll need things like, you know, fastenings and glue and all that kind of stuff. That's the kind of thing that you'd want to get from traders or from writs or from stuff.
Yeah, like either it be a gold item that you can buy, like glue, like resin glue. Well, make it an item that you buy, like the Merithic potion that is just part of the recipe. Like, oh yeah, you require these stacks, and I would love it if the stacks, like the type of how do I want to say this? When you're doing your bed, I think that whatever material you want to use, like if you like, you don't have to use rubidite. Like, I think that the type of, the style, the color, and everything should be determined based on what item you like. If you use sanded oak, it'll look different from a ruby ash bed. Like,
the color would change depending on which materials you used.
Yeah.
So you could still have, you know, the imperial bed or the Bosmer bed, you know, but if you used the oak or the maple's going to give you like a dark brown color, versus the rubidite will give you a red color. The void steel will give you like a black color, or the void.
That's true, and then you've got dyeing as well. I mean, that opens up even more potential in terms of coloring.
Right, and I honestly think with these items, I see when I even say dungeon stuff, I think everything should require, for at least housing crafting, mind you, should require something like it requires a large sum of materials. Okay, whatever you're using, it's not a couple. We kind of agreed on that. I think there should be a vendor component. Like you have to buy, like the Merithic potion to create glass motifs is something you just buy, right?
Yep.
And that would make you certain standard beds. But then I think, like I said, with dungeon drops shouldn't be part of everything. But I think that.
Well, I think you should be able to mount stuff onto like whatever you're making as like a trophy or an inlay. That
well, that's
you can
where
still make the bed, but it's not going to have the special headboard centerpiece without having completed that item or dungeon.
No, I'd agree with that. I would completely agree with that. And
I want to see mannequins and head or mounting boards, so that you can mount all these trophies. Like I completed White Gold Tower. I got Molag Kenna's headpiece. I don't want to wear it, but I can put it up on a mannequin.
Yes, I definitely.
Personal stables for all your pets.
Yes,
that'd be awesome.
Now,
like that.
Now with other forms of crafting, let's step off of housing for a moment, because I know housing is something that I think would bring a lot to the economy of the game. Because let's face it, in any game where there's housing, some people don't care about housing. Like even if you guys listen back prior to episode 1 or even episode 100, Esteldian, part of our network, never cared about housing. It's just something he didn't care about. But the thing he did care about housing was because he knew he could make tons of cash, because of the people who did care about housing would spend insane amount of money on housing materials. Right?
Yeah.
So while housing I think would bring a lot to the economy of the game, is there anything we see like how in the future could crafting be improved in other portions of the game? Like right now, especially with no more veteran ranks being added, where do you see the future of crafting going? I mean, for the normal game, non-housing.
Well, I suppose it's down to jewelry is one aspect, I guess.
Yeah, but even with you got that, a lot of the problem with modern games is the fact that materials don't degrade, right? Like in older games, whenever you repaired a weapon or something like a piece of armor, it lost durability. So eventually, it would not last forever. It would eventually break, and you'd have to get another one. That's not how modern games are done. So there seems to be a disconnect right now where after you have your set, like I've had the same set on my main for a couple patches, and until a new patch comes out where a new best in slot comes out, and unfortunately nothing's been able to beat Hunding's Rage, Molag Kenna, and 3 Agility right now. Like you can't beat it for my play style. So there's really no purpose for me ever getting any other types of material. And I think that's a lot of the issue. And even with modern, or with crafting now, the only thing people even use crafting for is to upgrade. But that's kind of like a death knell, if you ask me, for crafting. It really doesn't make crafting all that important.
Well, I was talking with a couple guildmates, and one of my fears with the champion system over the veteran rank is they're going to start at a very low level of CP, equaling a VR16. And I think it's like 160, 180. Do you guys remember what they had estimated?
160 for VR16.
Okay, so that would be equivalent to, your rubidite, your ruby wood. But then if you go down, how many steps are they going to take to, back to the point where if you have like 120, is that going to be, you can only use nightwood? And then you step back from that, to 100, and is that where you're going to be able to use Quicksilver? And a step back from that to the Galadite, and a step back from that to the Calcinium. So if people are already sitting at 500, so what's the difference between the 160 and the 500? There is none right now. And so it kind of makes me nervous that the champion point equivalent to a VR16 really is, I think they're going to set it way too low, that they should set it like closer to 300 or 400, and then every 100 champion points put in a new crafting level. So that way, okay, if you have 500, you're going to be equivalent to whatever the next crafting mats would be. It'd be, slightly better. And then when they raise the champion level up to 600, it would be the next level up after that. So that some of the older mats would still get a lot of use. And some of the newer mats, and they would have you'd have a goal for, okay, I know that in another 100 champion points, I can use the next stuff and still get that upgrade.
Right. And actually, here's, speaking of, how they I know where you're going with this, but remember where they talked about the seasons of gear rather than veteran.
Yeah.
And I don't think they're going to add more materials in the future, but I think Rubidite and Ancestor Silk and all that's going to be the end. I don't think we're going to get a new crafting material. I tend to think that crafters will be used, there will be item drops that, in order to make we'll just say, in this case, a Season 2, you need the same, 150 Rubidite like you do normally, but you also need an orb of power that drops from wherever. And you need a crafter with the appropriate skill levels and points or whatever in order to add that orb to a normal recipe. Or whatever the material would be.
See, I think that, they should just stick with what we currently understand and know, and not try and make it too complicated.
Right.
That the more, you start adding crazy stuff in, the more complicated crafting becomes, the less people are going to want to do it. Versus, right now, we understand that, if you want to go from VR14 to VR16, you stop using Void Steel and you start using the Rubidite. And yes, you have to use 160-something Rubidite for a chess piece, but we understand that. And if they were saying, oh, no, now you have to add this orb to that, and it gets a lot more complicated, and I don't know if people would necessarily enjoy it, especially those that are already on the fence for, do I want to craft, do I not want to craft?
I guess. See, to me, I don't see... And this is and I'm not everybody, so let's get that straight. I actually don't mind when crafting systems get complicated. In fact, simple crafting systems like the making 100 iron daggers or whatever, they bore me. But crafting is something that I really enjoy for its own sake. Even though there's no real reason for me to pick up that spider silk when I'm in the rift, I still do it. Because I enjoy collecting materials. That is something to me that I enjoy. So making things a little more complicated isn't necessarily a bad thing in my regards, because every time a patch comes out, the game technically changes. You have to go, now what's my new slot? They release a new skill line. Does this work for my build? Is it better? The game naturally evolves, and when things don't evolve, isn't that the major complaint right now with PvP, is that it's not evolving? They haven't added anything else. It's just the same thing.
Yeah.
The people who enjoy that type of gameplay, and again, I'm not talking about... Yeah, some people would be like, oh, it just needs to be simple, but those are the people who don't really care about crafting anyway, right?
Well, So, I guess the difference in my mind is that we're talking about making items, for gear, versus we were just talking before that, making items for a house. I'd like to see being able to craft more items, and different items as the way crafting evolves, versus, understanding how to make a sword or, a chess piece, that kind of stuff to remain a system that everybody knows, because that's like the entry level to crafting, I guess. And then, if you want to, craft glass, like right now you have to do the crafting writs to get the motifs, the pages to, combine to make the motif. That kind of stuff, slightly more complicated. It's only going to be for those that want to do the crafting. And then with the housing, to build the bed, to make it, to get all of the items needed for it, that's where the evolution of crafting would be, is the different ways to play the game.
I can appreciate. No, I completely agree. I see where you're coming from now. I do agree in that regard. It's just, with that being, like we were talking about before, I see where you're coming from. It's hard to explain. I'm trying to think how I want to say it. It's like crafting needs to advance. Like it needs to change. Just like the game changes, it needs to change. If they add housing and they allow us to craft items and they make it complicated, because housing is not necessarily something that everyone does. Housing is going to be a niche item if you think about it. Like there'll be a few people who want to specialize and they try to sell those furniture items, whatever. Those people will enjoy their time doing what they want to do. But crafting, if it remains the way it is now, it's boring. Like crafting for me is boring because I've already researched everything. I honestly have nothing else I do the crafting dailies every day. But let's not even talk about crafting dailies. People talk about dailies like it's an evil word, but
it can end up feeling like a job. I find myself doing them over my lunch break in the week when I'm at work. But that goes back to sort of what I was saying about if you're in a guild, it is quite satisfying if you have a guildie who's like, can someone craft this or can anyone do this? It's quite neat to be able to say, yeah, I can do that, and just go and make it for them, and they really appreciate it. And it feels like it validates the time that you put into crafting when you can do something like that, even if it's not for gold, if it's just to help someone in the guild out. I think it becomes very different when you can create huge numbers of, I don't want to say vanity items because that comes with a little bit of a negative connotation, but basically things in your house, things where you're creating an environment to exist in. Then I think it would add a whole new element that would hopefully get away from that kind of bored sentiment that I think a lot of people have, from what I understand.
Right. Avi, I've not heard anything from you recently. You still there? Did you walk away?
I'm here.
Do you have any thoughts? Because I haven't heard from you yet.
No, not really. I think you guys covered it pretty good. A couple things people were confused about in chat room was, because we're talking about housing now, was the idea if it's going to be free or if they're going to put all the stuff for housing in the Crown Store, things like that. But
I can tell you right now.
I don't think so. But I think it would be cool if they did more on the line of like my idea was like a Sheogorath bed. Special things that you can't really get the crafting styles for in the game because they're just not there, that they can sell on the Crown Store, and then everything else put in the game. Things like that. But when it comes to actual crafting, no, I think you guys covered it pretty well. I'm a noob crafter, so.
I know you want to make everything crafting on your main character.
This is why I have you, Aggelos, because when I need something crafted, you get a text.
Speaking of that text, here's something that I think that they really need to think about putting in the game is requisition orders. Like an ability for you as a crafter to post, hey, I'm a 9-slot crafter, and I can craft in XYZ styles. And then people can put a requisition in with you through either, your, like if they're a friend of yours or a guildmate of yours, just, drop down menu, requisition, and type you a requisition as to what they want.
I actually love that idea. That's a
great idea. That is a great idea.
I think it needs to be tied just so it doesn't lower the value of the guild system as it is now. It needs to be part of the guild trade system. But yeah, no, that would be great. Like you could go onto a trader and see the different orders that were available. I think that would be wonderful.
You know, because right now that's the biggest thing is, you know, somebody be like, oh, can somebody make me Hunding's Rage, you know, sword? And be like, yeah, I can, but I'm, you know, busy right now. And it's like, well, I need it now. It's like, well, you know, it's not going to happen. But if you had that kind of thing where you're like, oh, you know, I'm going to ding VR16, I want to get these item sets. Can somebody make it for me? Oh, look, hey, Aggelos or Mike or Avi can make these things, you know, in this guild. Let's, you know, let me put out as to who's going to, you know, give me a price quote on how much it's going to cost me for this item set.
Yeah, even like this person has three crafting jobs ahead of yours, so you might, you know, kind of like you might have to wait a little longer for these 3 to be completed because he already has jobs and tasks. So it's like, okay, well this guy must be, you know, have everything because everybody's going to him, or you know, things along that line.
Yeah.
See, I really love that requisition order, and I mean, we kind of already have something similar PvE style in the game, and that's the crafting writs. Those are essentially your requisition orders, but it really would be I can tell you right now, as a crafter, I would be running around everywhere, you know, like visiting all the different crafting locations. Or not crafting locations, trade routes, if it was tied to the things, and seeing what orders were out there and being like, yeah, this, I can make this, I can do this, this will make me money, this will be great. I love that idea. That right there is an amazing idea for something that would bring life to crafting, would be requisition orders as part of the current trade system.
It's
Yeah,
like
'cause I don't think it'd be-
it's like Witcher with contracts. But
I don't think
instead
it'd
of
be too difficult to implement either. You know, you wouldn't have, you know, you need a new GUI, that's all.
Yeah, new GUI. No, I completely agree. That would be amazing, amazing thing to add, and that really would be an advancement of the crafting system. Like that's fantastic. I'd never even thought about doing something like that. And that would be amazing for crafters. So, does anyone have any...
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, I know, right? Zos, if you're listening, that's a fantastic idea that Mike had, and you should just do it. Because that would be a game for me. Like, I would... You know how some people who play the market run around and try to find things to buy or sell? I would do that. I would run around all the traders, see what kind of requisition orders and whether I could make money off of that. You know, like, oh, this guy wants full VR16. He's only paying like 2,000. Well, I'm not going to do that order because, you know, I won't make money off of it. Oh, but this guy, I'll make money, right? No, I would absolutely do that. That would be
Aggelos
fantastic.
becomes the 0.1%er.
The 0.1%, exactly.
Right.
I would never do any other guild events. People would be like, hey, we're going to do guild... Nope, sorry, requisition ordering. That's done. Can't do it. I'm busy. I'm making money.
Gonna leave his job and
Yeah, I'm just going to quit my job.
lock himself in the room. And...
Yep. No, I love that idea. Oh my goodness. As a crafter, like as a person who loves crafting in games, that would be pretty much my end game for like forever. I just wouldn't do anything else. And yeah, I don't know. All right. Does anyone have any other final thoughts before we move on to our next section? No. Okay. Had to hit my lap button. All right, we're going to go ahead and move into our tales, and as per our policy, our guest gets to go first and tell us what they've been doing in game. So, yay!
So, I have been running the Maw of Lorhaj trial with a number of different guilds now, and it's what we did on Friday with Wings of Faith here. So, it was a good time, other than my, you know, internet lockout. The one thing, you know, that when it comes to trials that people have to realize is that these are really difficult, and you can't just come with your normal like solo build. You have to really think about, am I doing enough DPS? You know, what do I bring to the table? So like one of the things is that somebody has to be running Aggressive Warhorn as their ultimate. Not everybody can run Meteor. When you've got, a healer, do they have shards on their bar that they can throw to the tank? So there's a lot of little nuances, and so it's always a learning thing. And usually, a lot of people don't, with a regular running group, don't finish the trial the first time or the second time or even sometimes the third time until everybody knows what kind of role they're playing in the trial. So, I hope that everybody learned a little bit on Friday and that they had fun. I know that I did.
How far did you guys get?
We got to the final boss. He made a complete rotation on the circle, and then we were struggling with the mechanics for what to do when he completed the rotation, because you're supposed to kill off all these ads that pop up, and it's something I've never seen when I've done it, because the other guild that I run with, usually about 3/4 of the way through the circle, he's dead. We got 3 people running aggressive Warhorn. We've got DPS numbers in the 20k region that are on the boss. The low-level DPS guys are running the back room. It was definitely something I had never seen before, which was cool, but I know that a lot of people were hoping to complete the trial this week.
I know you had internet problems, but so did I. So I guess I'll do you have anything else? I was going to piggyback.
No, that's good.
I was all ready to go to the trial, and I was on Friday, and I'm sitting there getting ready to go. I'm just doing whatever before the show, and all of a sudden I get disconnected, and I have to keep trying to reconnect. No, I'm getting I'm not getting anything at all. Okay, well, let's see. What's wrong? Well, let's go restart my router. I walk into my closet, and I notice the door's open. Because I have a split-level house, or a bi-level. I bought a bi-level house. So our gaming room is downstairs, right? So in the closet, underneath the big stairs, I decided that's going to be my network closet. Because it goes out to the... just for networking side of things. I can run cables because it leads right into my garage where the point of presence is, and I can make everything look all nice. So that's what I was doing, and I noticed that my router didn't have any power. And I'm like, what in creation is going on? So I'm trying to look, and I look in the back, and there's my cat sitting there chewing on the power cable. So Friday, I'm sending a message out to people going, guys, I'm running to the store to try to, pick up a new power cable so that I can join you guys for the event. Unfortunately, nobody had a power cable without buying the entire router, and I'm not going to buy a, $150 router or $200 router when all I need is the power cable, so I had to go to my trusty friend's Amazon and do next day shipping, and thankfully it got here yesterday early afternoon. So we're good there. But that means I did not actually get to do the trial, and I was rather upset about that because I was really looking forward to it, because Ark and I were having a blast running the Ghost last week, which I know both Ark and I felt rather vindicated that it wasn't us that the problem was with, because we were having a hard time trying to run the spirits, because several times we were always missing one. And in the patch, they pretty much said that there was an issue in Mall of Lorcage where certain spirits were not showing, or certain shadows were not showing. So I was really excited to get in this week, because I'm like, well, now without it being bugged, we should be able to finish it, because we were doing really good. The only times that we pretty much wiped, or we wiped so often, was because we couldn't see the shadows. So I was expecting to do pretty good this week, but unfortunately I was not able to arrive. Thais and I were questing a little bit last week, and we're almost done with Oradon, so yay.
Yeah, you get to go to, what, Groutwood?
Yeah, I think Groutwood's next.
Yay.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not too worried about it.
Well,
I mean,
you haven't done it 3
I've
times,
never done
so.
it before, yeah, so I don't see how that's a problem. I mean, in my eyes, nothing can... See, I like jungly areas. Nothing can be worse than Shadowfen in my eyes, so...
That's where
Well, the problem with Grotwood is that there's a lot of elevation. So there are a lot of places you can't get to without going all the way around some giant mountain to get up.
Right. It will be right in front of your face. I mean,
Yeah, but you
the
can't get
arrow
to it.
the arrow will be right in front of your face, but you can't get there because you have to run around.
In a certain extent, Glen Umbra was kind of that way. There were cliffs where you're like, oh, it's right there, but there's a cliff, so I have to find the entrance.
Yeah, that's true.
Lenumber is amazing, though.
Well, aesthetically pleasing, it was very high fantasy, so I can understand why you may have liked Glen Umbra more than Grotwood, you know, but I don't know. Like I said, we're moving along, we're getting there. So that I'm trying to get a ghost. I don't know. Like that's what we're working on. Obviously, I've been playing just doing crafting. This week, I wanted to. My wife and son are away all week, so I'm determined to get my Templar, my second Templar, to VR1. And what level is she right now? She's 42. So, yeah, that's. I've been playing her and getting her leveled up this past few weeks, or these past couple days. So that's what I've been working on. Pretty much, it's crafting writs for me, and then playing her, because I just want to get her to VR1, and again, all of this is for whenever we do, or whenever they remove the vet ranks, because she's going to be my Templar Magicka, my Magicka Templar, so that's what I'm trying to design her as, because I really like stamina, even though Magicka is so powerful right now.
After I went Magicka, I never went back. Just saying.
No, I know. Magicka is really good. And this patch, we didn't mention it in the news, but I know Elder Scrolls Off the Record put a tweet about it, that Hodor, the guild in EU, was the first to take down Veteran Maul of Lorcaj. So congrats to them. But I saw this on Twitter. Here's an interesting note. You know they did not use a single stamina person in that entire raid?
Really?
Yeah, that's how...
It was all magic?
100% Magicka.
I heard they did all range, but...
100% Magicka. I think even the tanks were Magicka tanks.
So what's the discrepancy right now? I mean, what is making Magicka so much more powerful?
Well, remember Thieves Guild? The Thieves Guild, they've revamped so many of the Magicka traits, and remember, Eric Roble was talking about that Dark Brotherhood, they're going to be revisiting a lot of stamina. But right now, Magicka is just so powerful.
Because I'm pure stamina build right now, so you know I don't feel underpowered, but in PvP, I definitely feel like the Magicka users have got a massive advantage over me.
Hey, Ark, if you're still in chat, could you ban those people? That'd be great. They're just a bunch of people spamming in chat, and they're annoying me. So if Ark could go ahead and just start banning, kicking people from chat that are spamming, that would be great.
Yeah, I was talking with I think it was Kraz and Rage this week about how I had to pick a morph for one of my Templar abilities, the Javelin one there. And with the one morph, it cost the same Magicka as the original, and it gave you a new ability along with it. The second morph was the Stamina morph, and it cost, I think, 500 or 600 stamina more than the Magicka did. Mm-hmm. And you didn't get anything new. And I'm like, well, this is part of the reason why stamina is lagging so bad, is that, you take a morph for a stamina morph so that you can, utilize your weapon crits and everything else, but you don't gain any benefit. It costs you more stamina to use than if it left it as Magicka. And all you get is that it scales off of your stamina now instead of your Magicka. So anybody who is running these pure Magicka builds, are really gaining the benefit that it doesn't cost them any more Magicka. They got a new ability with it. I think it was that the damage increased on the length of the throw, and there was no penalty to it. Versus if you chose the stamina, there were a ton of penalties associated with it. And so it's things like that that have to really change. That there has to be parity between the stamina and the magicka, and right now there's not.
Exactly. And I mean, it's pretty obvious when one of the top guilds in the world that has been doing Maul of Lorcage decides to go all magicka. They wouldn't do that if there wasn't a reason for doing that. And right now it's such a huge disparity that anyone who goes stamina, at least for the top, when you're going for world first, is going to get, crushed. So.
Well, here's for Dark Brotherhood. I'm not changing my build significantly right now. I don't like following the updates around and constantly changing my build around. So hopefully Dark Brotherhood, it will pay off.
Right.
Yeah, hopefully.
Right. Well, so that was pretty much the end of my gameplay. So, Avi, what about you, man?
What? All right. Yep. All right. Chat's getting insane, but I. It's like, oh, good God, calm down, people. I'm gonna do something a little different real fast. So, let me turn this around. See her? Is she there?
I can see it.
Wait for it. There she is. You guys ready? VR4 Sorcerer.
No, don't do it. Don't do it. Oh,
And...
no. Oh, no.
Gone. Yay! Yay for deleting alts. I just thought I should do that live because I felt like it.
Oh, there she goes. Goodbye. Bye.
Poor.
So Lily is gone, but she'll be reinvented to fight for the Ebonheart Pact. But onto my gameplay, what I've been doing, I've been leveling my alt pretty much exclusively.
And now you just deleted her.
That poor girl. Well, I haven't played her in so long. I mean, let me think. It was probably, 4 or 5 months ago that I switched back to the Ebonheart Pact. And since then, I leveled up. Yeah, I leveled up Avi the Optimist. He was only like VR 8 at that time. I leveled him to VR 16. I leveled my Khajiit Nightblade to VR 14 and Estelle to VR 16. So I got pretty committed with being part of the pact. So in the last class, I needed a sorcerer. So somebody had to go. I chose her. Well, yeah, but I've been leveling my new guy. He's my new main. I've talked about him a bit. Avi Optimal. I've named him after myself. Finally, I've never done that. And he's a Nether Breton Templar. So now I have 4 veteran ranked Templars because it's my favorite class. And I think last episode he was only level 15, 16. He's level 36 now. So I've been leveling him a lot. Me and Amanda Gray have a little competition going on right now. First, the VR1. The loser has to craft a full set of VR1 gear for the winner. So yeah,
That's a cool little challenge.
Yeah. It was a little challenge. I was planning on going slow with the character, but as soon as that happened, I was like, it's on. Like, let's do this. So he'll be VR1 soon enough. And yeah, I'm waiting for next week to come because then I'll start leveling my sorcerer with that cake and hopefully knock out VR1 really fast. And my main goal is just to get them to VR1. So when Dark Brotherhood drops and veteran ranks go bye-bye, they're all in the game. So that's the goal. Besides that, I haven't done too much else. I did fishing with the guild, which was a good time. I just took a whole bunch of screenshots, so I think I posted a few of them. Yeah, we had fun doing that, drinking and fishing with Aggelos and the Wings of Fate Guild every Wednesday at 9 p.m. Eastern.
Mm-hmm.
All
Yep.
right.
You got it.
Got it.
That's my social event where we just get to, hang out, chat with people, have a good time.
Yeah, it's really fun. We enjoy ourselves.
Yeah, that's the idea. It's something that if people get, you obviously work towards achievements because the more people who fish together, the better chance you have at getting rare materials. But it's also a chance for us to, chat, get to know one another, and just have a good time. And if you get a perfect row, I'll make you Citric Ambrosias. So,
Yeah. So we all go fishing throughout the event, and at the end we all kind of stand in a little circle, and we just all start laying our fish and waiting to see who glows.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that is definitely what we do. So
I have done no fishing ever.
Oh, that's a shame.
What am I missing out on?
Some achievements.
It's just fun with friends too, kind of like just being on a big group call with everybody and TeamSpeak and hanging out, and you don't really want to focus too much on game or talk about what we're doing in a dungeon and all that stuff. It's more in the line of let's just normally what we do is we bring up a topic, like 1 week we did lore and stuff like that, and then we just talk about certain topics and we have some fun while we're all just hanging around fishing, running around Stonefalls. We're in Stonefalls right now, and just clearing all the fishing holes. So it's just a fun social event, but I mean I don't have too much fun doing it by myself.
I was going to say, is it worth doing on your own? Because
if you like achievements,
it's actually not. If you're doing it by yourself, you have a much lower chance of even getting rare fish. So you could be fishing for hours and only get one.
Wow.
So
but if you like Citric Ambrosia, though, then I mean.
Well, yeah, Citric Ambrosia you can get by yourself because it's a the rare chance is by opening the fish. So if you're lucky and you get the fish, then great. If not, then it is what it is.
You need about 100 fish.
Why does having numerous people with you help the chances?
It's just the way Zos designed it to be social, I guess.
Oh, right. I see. I don't know if any of my guild do any fishing. Any of my guilds, that's a shame.
Well, this is why you should play on the US.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
You can play with all of us.
Yeah. But speaking of, actually, something I wanted to mention, and I forgot to do so, Arcaneer has started playing on the EU side as well, and has started a Tales of Tamriel guild chapter over there. So I'll actually be making an EU character at some point to play every once in a great while and do some events and things like that. So that will be happening.
Well, I was saving mentioning that until we got to my Tales section.
Oh. Well then, Avi, whenever you're done, then Nate can go next.
Yeah, Nate, please. That was the end of my tales.
Well, Arcaneer opened the Dungeon Crawler Network guild on the EU server, and literally half an hour ago, I joined as a guildmaster. So, very exciting. Very, very exciting. We have 3 members right now, me, Ark, and my brother, who is playing as Caracus right now. He is in the guild. We're just doing some dolmens in Bankarai at the moment. And although I haven't really played very much this week because of all my aforementioned packing and house IRL responsibilities, I did spend quite a large portion of a couple of days just relaxing a little bit and leveling up my brother's character for him in EP, because he had a V4 or V5 character in AD. He started playing a bit after I started playing, but never really. I don't think he necessarily paid much attention to the difference in the factions and all that sort of thing. So I think he picked AD for some reason. But he got an Ebonheart character, and now he has got a veteran level Ebonheart character because I leveled him up, grinded the hell out of it in where was I? The Vile Laboratory in Cold Harbor was where I did the majority of that. So it's still a very good grinding spot. Very, very fast. You can sort of do about 7,000-8,000 XP per mob, and they respawn extremely quickly. So that was the majority of my week, to be honest. And now just doing some dolmens. I realized I hadn't got my dolmen achievement for completing, 250 dolmens or 500 dolmens. So helping Andy level up doing that by doing some dolmens. And I did just get actually one of the, the large bosses. I got Ragothen, Devourer of Souls achievement, which is a giant harvester.
Very nice.
So I just got that about 10 minutes ago.
Very nice.
Which is neat.
Yeah, I actually need to farm those because I'm an achievement junkie myself. And
yeah. Well, it's a useful one to be doing when you're helping somebody level up, because they get, I'm obviously, maxed out sort of PvP DPS, so I just sort of annihilate anything in PvE these days. So taking Andy through some, high-level dolmens and high-level zones, he levels up incredibly quickly. And as long as we're doing something that I've got an outstanding achievement for, which in this case is the dolmens and some of those bosses, then it's quite a nice thing to do, and it's quite easy to do like I'm doing now, just kind of casually in the background while we're doing the podcast. It's quite neat. Right.
I understand.
Yeah, but that's about it. A little less exciting for me this week. But hopefully get Thieves Guild stuff finished over the next couple of weeks until I'm homeless.
Yeah, I'm doing the Thieves Guild main quest right now, and I don't want to obviously say any spoilers, so it's kind of hard to say what I want to say, but I've hit a certain point where it's not updating for me anymore. Like I'm trying to finish it, and I did one of the big quests in it. Mike, have you finished Thieves Guild?
Yes, there's points where it won't tick over until your Thieves Guild level is a certain level. So you might have to do like some of the board quests.
Those pickpocketing things and heists. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, it's not updating for me, and I was getting so frustrated. I was like, man, this story's getting so good, and it just stopped on me. It's like,
It is a very good storyline. Plus, some of the other like Quen has a side storyline that you have to finish sometimes.
Right, I finished most of the people's storylines. A good way to say where I'm at without spoilers is, every time you complete a quest, you get a piece of that gear, the Bahara's Curse or whatever.
Yep.
I have everything but one ring.
Okay.
So
you're almost at the very end then.
Yeah, I'm almost at the very end of it. So I'm guessing I just got to go do a couple of those little quests, and then okay. I'll do that right now. I suck at pickpocketing. I'm so bad at it.
Do you have the Legerdemain skill line?
Yeah, I do. But like I'm doing it on my Lobby on Avi Optimal, so he just started over. So
what is your Thieves Guild level?
Let me check right now. Thieves Guild level's at 6.
Yeah, I'm not. Towards the end, I think I finished it. I was level 10.
10.
So,
okay,
no. It might be that you have to be like level 7 to start the quest that you need. It might just be that the non-player character is like somewhere other than where you normally would look for him. Also,
that's what I thought too, but I ran around everywhere looking for like a quest marker, and they're nowhere to be seen.
Talk to the one-eyed Khajiit in the tunnels of the cistern. Sometimes she'll tell you to go talk to Zahir, and that's how it starts the quest.
Okay.
So if you find her sometimes.
Alright, good. I'm glad I asked this, because I was getting confused. But yeah, I've only completed one of the idle hand quests where you have to pickpocket, and I've only done one heist, which I failed at very badly.
Yeah, I failed at the heist the first time.
Like, oh my goodness, I failed very badly. Like, man, it got to the point where I was just running through, killing everything because I already ran out of I already ran out of time. It was done for me. It was like, all right, well, let's just go open these chests and get the hell out of here. This isn't working out for me.
Nice.
We, in the last classic Elder Scrolls episode, we covered like gear and like potions and things like that to help make some of this stuff easier, because it can be really tough. I mean, if you don't have the right gear for doing thieving stuff, makes it very difficult.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it really does. I've been thinking about picking a thing up. Like right now, all my character is wearing is the Bahar's Curse, but I'm just doing it at low level, so I didn't really feel like I should craft myself a full set. But I guess I might as well, because I want to do the heist really bad, and actually be able to do them.
Right.
They're fun. They're really good. I really, sorry to get off topic, but I'm just saying I really like the heist. They're
It's
a
not
great
off
addition.
topic. You kidding? This is gameplay time. This is perfectly on topic.
Perfect. It's a perfect addition to this game, and I think it makes the Thieves Guild feel so alive. So
I agree with that.
Thieves Guild DLC is pretty much a 10 out of 10 for me. I love everything about it. Story's great and the characters are amazing.
I haven't done it yet, so I don't know.
Nate, have you gotten to the point where you're starting to do some of the Argonians quest line?
I'm doing a little bit of it, but it's difficult to know exactly how far through I am relative to what you're talking about without me telling you what I've recently done.
Right.
But I think I'm quite a ways through it based on the armor thing that Avi mentioned.
Yeah, the best way to determine really is the armor, of how many pieces of the Bahar's Curse you have.
Yeah, and I'm definitely doing a lot with an Argonian in particular.
Yeah, because I know that you play an Argonian, and
I don't actually. No, I play an Imperial.
Oh, you don't? I thought Miss Misa was an Argonian.
No, she's Imperial, but I just happen to be kind of obsessed with Argonians, so I like to think that Misa's just a huge Argonian apologist. So yeah, that's all that is.
Him and Thais, they both love Argonians, but neither of them play him.
Yeah, right.
That's what it is. Just a giant love affair with the lizard people.
I guess that makes me feel a little better about the cats.
Yeah,
Just call me a lol, lover of lizards.
That storyline there really tugs at the heartstrings for any Argonian fans.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Nice. All right. Well, I think that kind of ends up our tales for this week. So let's go ahead and move right on into lore reading from Nate.
That would be me, wouldn't it?
Yes, it would.
Okay, so this is just a little one, actually, and as I was saying last week, I think I'm looking for books that tie into something we've discussed, and today, with it being crafting, most of the books about crafting in the game obviously are kind of style books or things like that, but I did find one that I just thought I'd read, and we've gone on quite a long time today, so I'm guessing this makes a lot more sense. This is just a book called Smithing, A Worthy Endeavor, and it's by Kulnamo, who is a great sage of the forge. Anyone with ore and a hammer can fashion a crude weapon at an anvil, yes, but it takes more than a burly arm to grasp the subtleties of the art. Some of my fellow Altmer may sneer at weapon forging, or sneer at the Altmer, considering its work fit only for commoners. I'm not sure I agree with that. But in doing so, they only expose their own pitiable ignorance. Unraveling the mysteries of form, function, and the effects of various materials on the substance of the weapon is an undertaking that requires not only a sharp mind, but a strength of body and patience through hours of practice each day. To become a master and create peerless weapons, much time must be spent in research, slowly uncovering new secrets which in turn lead to more revelations. One must study weapons and every culture crafted by many smiths, deconstructing them, analyzing the results methodically to identify the source of unusual properties. The weapon's shape, its component materials, and its balance are just a few of the elements that must be scrutinized. Of course, we cannot ignore the many types of weapon, each one from sword to axe to hammer, one or two-handed, is its own realm of study. It's entirely up to the smith where to pursue exhaustive knowledge of one type or to study a wider variety. But the end goal should be the same for all who demand perfection, to attain a comprehensive understanding of all weapon traits and how to impart them to any creation. As you can see, producing weapons goes far beyond making a stick of metal to hit enemies with. The complexities of the craft runs as deep as any magical study, and only through time, research, and patience can one truly claim to be an expert. There are those who will try to convince you that the work of a smith is crude and artless. In such encounters, simply smile back, knowing that you are on a worthy path. By putting in the requisite effort to elevate your creations through the relentless pursuit of knowledge, your work will be remembered in legend long after your detractors are dead and forgotten. That's all. Kind of a small book, kind of aimed at new entries into the world of Tamriel. But I thought it was a neat little summary of what it means to be a crafter in the game and in the world.
I definitely like it. It works. All right. Nate, I guess we have our mailbag and then the end of the show.
Yeah, we do, and I'm just going to load up our mailbag. Now, we skipped one last week, so I have a feeling this is one that we were going to get to last week and didn't, simply for reasons of time. So apologies for that. But this is an email that comes from Sean, and Sean writes, concerning the future of ESO. My main concern is this. ESO is rapidly moving towards a more casual crowd. Everything is being streamlined to cater to newer players. I fully understand from a business standpoint why this is happening, but it is worrisome. VR levels are removed, PvP skill lines require much less time, champion points are easy to cap now with no real boost coming anytime soon. Helms are sold in Cyrodiil, etc. The only real endgame grind anymore is motifs. They add more in one DLC than they have since launch. And concerning lag in Cyrodiil, it's been an issue since launch. You may agree with me. Submodel is much better because we know a company's financials. They are transparent. Free-to-play versus buy-to-play is not. Which brings me to my point. I love this game a lot, but what happens if you cater more to Skyrim casual fans? When Elder Scrolls 6 comes, this game will be empty. ZOS must realize that MMO fans are the core base and will stick around long after the new Bethesda juggernaut is released. What do you think? And that's from Sean.
All right. What do you guys think?
Well, my first takeaway from this is that I think, I agree with the fact that if the game caters as something of a stopgap for players stuck between Skyrim and Skyrim 2, Elder Scrolls 6, then...
No,
you did not just say that.
I'm afraid I said that. Come on. We all know what's going to happen here. It's going to be something that's going to be as similar as possible to Skyrim. But it's a problem. And people will probably leave. But we're talking like 5 years away. They're going to be focused on Fallout 4 DLC for the next, probably 6 to 12 months at least. They have a good DLC cycle, Bethesda generally, and they tend not to work on more than one major project at a time. So I think we're going to be talking several years yet before we see another Elder Scrolls game. Certainly, I would think 4 years at the least. And possibly more.
You're breaking my heart, man.
I'm just telling it like it is. I really think that we're several years away from a new single-player Elder Scrolls game, and I think that by the time we get there, this game's going to be possibly 6, maybe even 7 years old. So whether its natural lifespan will be sort of concluding by that point, I don't know. But I would say that's less of a concern than the sort of the free-to-play versus buy-to-play issue and the skill line stuff. I think the game's still fun for a lot of people, and that's the main thing. But I do broadly agree, though, with Sean's thoughts.
And James Harvey says in chat, game's not going to be... People who enjoy single-player games don't play MMOs. This is still an Elder Scrolls MMO. The amount of first-time MMO players in this game versus any others has been immense.
Yeah,
so
I play single-player games only.
This is your first MMO, right?
This is my first MMO. I think it's your first. Is it your first too, Mike? Or
Yes, it is.
yeah, I remember hearing that.
That that sentiment, I can't agree with James, just because of the sheer amount of people who've never played MMOs, but because this is Elder Scrolls, pick this up as their first.
I think it should be said, though, as well, that we are in a changing era for the gaming industry as a whole. And a lot of people now, everyone has connected consoles. They have networked games. People are used to the concept of multiplayer gaming a lot more than they would have been even 5 years ago. So I think the appeal of an MMO is probably greater simply because there feels like less of a difference between what they're used to playing on their own on a console and what they would experience in a massively multiplayer world. So I think that's less, hopefully is acting less as a point of friction for the game. Maybe an advantage even. And
James, I'm not saying that you're wrong with that opinion. I'm just saying I would actually, before Elder Scrolls, I would have agreed with that. But it's still Elder Scrolls, and as Mike can tell you, people who love Elder Scrolls are fiercely devoted to Elder Scrolls. So when they see an Elder Scrolls game out, they practically have to try it. I mean, Why else would people still play Arena, right? Like I mean,
you've got that entire Daggerfall remake coming up. These people are spending their time, on a game that they love. And even if it is 15 plus years old. So I don't think that there's too much to fear, like that we're going to have we may have a couple of months where it is empty, yes. Because everybody will, be playing Elder Scrolls 6. But, I think that after they've completed Elder Scrolls 6, that we will see a return. Just like we saw a dip in community numbers when Fallout 4 came out. There was a dip in the number of people that were running around, people in dungeons, because they were playing Fallout. But the numbers of, in towns and things like that have come back up a little bit. So...
Oh, yeah. Now, Fallout, as I'm sure Avi can tell you, I'm trying to beat this game here, and I'm getting crushed.
Oh, sure. You forgot my damn name. Just admit it.
I did.
Believe this. I'm out of here.
I'm done. I'm out. But yeah, that game was not as... You see, I honestly think there will be a couple people who we will not see for a very, very, very long time when 6 comes out, because Elder Scrolls games generally have a longer lifespan, like significantly. But I don't. For the majority of people who don't go mod heavy with it, I don't think we're gonna lose tons of people.
You're not gonna lose me. I'll still play both.
Yeah, I'll play both.
I'll play both, but there will be a good time where I don't touch anything but Elder Scrolls 6. That's for damn sure. 1,000 plus hours clocked in on Skyrim. If Elder Scrolls 6 is just as good,
yep,
that will happen again.
I don't think that will happen with me, because while I enjoyed the single player games, I prefer MMOs over single player games any day. So I will be in this game even when Elder Scrolls 6 comes out. All right, let's go ahead and hit up the next thing.
We have more emails here, but do you want to save some of these for next week? We have another one from Sean, and we have one from Echow.
Let's get Echoes, and we'll save Sean's for next week.
Okay, fine. So Echo says, "Hi there, I'm a fan of your Tales of Tamriel podcast for over a year now, but I have to correct you on a major flaw of the idea about using one server for both NA and EU. Now, this is something we were talking about last week in future to keep population up in the future." Echo continues, "The ping is an issue. To prove my point, I played ESO since the beta on North American server, even though I live in Europe, for over 1.5 years, and left my account with 5 million gold and all hard mode trial achievements behind to switch to the EU server to experience the nice ping of about 60, compared to my 200 to 250 on NA. It makes a huge difference, especially in PvP and stuff like Maelstrom Arena, where split seconds decide between killing or dying. Now, and that's from Echo. Now, I think that's interesting, because originally when I started playing, I mean, I've only ever played on the EU server, but back at the beginning, this time 2 years ago, in fact, the EU server was actually in the US. And although it moved over about, 6 months later, was it something like that?
Something like that, yeah.
Something like that. Like, personally, from my place here in London, I didn't notice a difference. However, two things I was not doing at the time: A, PvP, B, trials. So I think this is a really interesting comment, and I think is more valid than what I was saying last week about the benefits, because yeah, you're absolutely right that those differences, and I can't speak for things like Maelstrom Arena, but certainly for PvP, that does make a huge difference. And God, if there's one thing we don't need right now, it's further latency issues in PvP. So I think that's really a worthwhile point. I mean, I would still say that if this issue could be solved, if there could be a way to merge the servers, then I would still be in favor of it. But I agree, if latency is going to be an issue, which it probably will, then yeah, it's not likely something we'll see happen in the near future.
Right. All right. I'm just gonna let myself get crushed here, but I think we've hit a point where it's the end of the show, guys. Because Nate pretty much is the only person who had the, I guess, what's the word I'm looking here? Credentials to answer that question.
Fair enough.
Makes sense, right? All right. Well, let's go ahead and give our final thoughts for the show and tell everyone where you can be found. So, Mike, why don't you go ahead and go first? You're the guest.
Well, thank you very much for having me on.
Oh, nice.
We've been talking off air about lore and about mechanics and stuff for quite a while. So, it's nice to actually be on air with you guys.
Mm-hmm.
So, I want to thank everybody. And it's nice to actually finally get to meet Nate, because we don't get to interact outside of, like, in the guild or anything like that, because European versus American. I used to listen to you on the ESORP.
Oh,
stuff.
great.
Yeah, so, big fan of yours for a while now.
Thank you, man.
Yeah,
well,
so
without wanting to sound like a love fest, I'm a big fan of your show, so
thank
I
you very
agree.
much.
It's been very nice to do the show with you.
Yeah. So I'm, really thankful that you guys had me on. It's been a blast. I really enjoyed talking about all the stuff we've covered and some great ideas. Hopefully Zos will listen for some of the crafting stuff. I can be found at KDRmickey on Twitter, Tumblr, DeviantArt, pretty much anywhere you want to find me. And I'm a member over at Elder Scrolls Off the Record, the Quest Gaming Network, where we have a show that runs every other week, and then it's offset by Classic Elder Scrolls, where we go into the classic games, Skyrim, Oblivion, Daggerfall, Redguard, Arena, and we play that game and we talk about some of the histories and lore associated with the Elder Scrolls that is the opposite weeks. So check us out. And
and I have to say, I have to add a personal endorsement here. If for any lore nuts out there, any nostalgia nuts, the classic Elder Scrolls shows are, I think, some of the highest value Elder Scrolls sort of fan productions on the net today. Like, genuinely, I think that is just a great show, and I love listening to it.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, I'm sure Aggelos agrees as well, in terms of, like, if you want to go deep on lore and really want to understand, what's significant about Kvatch, or what is the history of the Dark Brotherhood and all this sort of stuff, then chances are you guys have done an episode and put it in context with the games as well. So I'd highly recommend checking it out.
We're hoping to start with a Dark Brotherhood series soon, because we've been doing them in series as of recently, so like 3-4 episodes, and then we go into ESO to take a look at how ESO has done it versus the other games. So we just finished up the Thieves Guild with the release of the Thieves Guild DLC, after having read some rather adult content books, like The Thief of Virtue.
Right.
Yeah, I remember that one. I like it. I like it a lot. All right. Let's see, Avi.
This was a really good show. I had a great time today. Mike, thank you for coming on. It's always good to have you, and hope you come back sometime to talk more with us.
Oh yeah.
Not as much lore as I expected to happen in this episode.
We had a lot of news to go over. That's why.
It was all crafting.
It
Two
was
crafters
crafting.
in a room.
Yeah,
That's true. It was either going to be crafting or lore. So I guess that makes sense.
yeah. There was a lot of crafting in there.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, this was a great show. It's always a good time with you guys. Where to find me? You can find me in game on the PlayStation, on Steam, Twitter, anywhere you can find me. I'm there. That's at Avi Optimal, AVIOPTIMAL.
Nice. I think. Oh, there we go. Window is minimized.
Oh, and might I just say, Aggelos, is your cat not there today?
No, she's been sitting on my lap, but she's I had a handy dandy anti-Khajiit tool, as you can see here.
Okay.
Yeah, which is filled with anti-Khajiit spray. So whenever she tried to crawl over my desk,
Anti-Khajiit
she got sprayed because last week was a little too much. So I was like, nope, goodbye. Boop boop.
She was locked in the closet with the router cable.
Yeah, no, yeah. I tried that. That didn't work. That didn't work out so well. Yeah. Well, as for me, you can find me in game at Aggelos, AGGELOS. You can find me on Twitter at Aggelos_WOF. You can follow the network, DungeonCrawlerNetwork.com, DungeonCrawlNet as our Twitter, and at Tales of Tamriel for our Twitter accounts for this show. Of course, YouTube.com/DungeonCrawlerNetwork, as well as a Facebook group, Facebook.com/DungeonCrawlerNetwork, and we have Steam and PS4 groups as well. Also, don't forget the EU side of things. If you are on the EU and we're trying to build up that EU community for our network, send a message to, I guess, would that be Nate ESO?
Nate ESO, but I mean, Ark set up the group, so you can send the message to him or I, but both of us will be able to invite you into the guild. And very excited we are to have the group representing the podcast and the network over here on the EU side. Mm-hmm. Maybe we'll start fishing, who knows?
I'll have to make my character and get him put over there pretty soon.
And just so you know, to send it to Arknair, it's ARKHANIIR.
There you go. So there you go. And as a final note, Mike loves orcs.
Damn it! You're not supposed to spread those lies.
Hey, as a final thought, you can find me at Nate ESO on Twitter as well.
There you go. So follow us on there.
I didn't have my final thoughts this week. I forgot it. I didn't get to talk.
Oh no, we lost
Nate
it.
Aggelos.
Nate, go ahead. Give your final thoughts on the win.
Well, that was basically it.
Okay.
I feel very hard done to and insulted and unfairly treated by this awful moment of forgettedness.
If it makes you feel better, there was an episode where he skipped my tales.
If it makes any of you feel better, it's because if you're looking at the center box right now, you notice I'm dead.
Oh.
And I was on the final boss of Vet DSA.
Oh dear.
And I'm about ready to flip my desk. So it's not that I forgot, and I'm forgetting everything. I'm seeing red at the moment. So
you need to unclench, my man. Unclench.
but the problem is I'm out of repair kits. I'm out of everything. So I'm.
Oh well.
Yeah. No, I was doing so good. I'm like all the way up to the final boss, and I'm just can't do it. So I'm forgetting lots of stuff. Anyway, thank you so much. Oh, go ahead.
No, all right. Well, let's just get this over with. I'm at Lanxon 101 in game, or Miss Misa on the EU server. Blah blah blah. All done.
Okay. I mean, and Skype crashed on me earlier. It's just. I don't know what's going on. Anyone else have anything they want to say before I finish it?
I blame Krabby.
Okay.
Yeah.
Blame Krabby. Okay. I accept this. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for watching. We hope you enjoyed this episode of Tales of Tamriel. Come back next week, 10 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Or is it daylight time? I don't know. Eastern Time. For another episode. We hope you have a great week, and we'll see you all in Tamriel. Have a great night, everyone.
the beauty of dawn.